Hello, future grammar nerds. I'm going to talk to you about dependent clauses. Right? We've already seen independent clauses, which have a subject and a verb, and just all by themselves, they're a complete thought. A dependent clause also has a subject and a verb, but it's not a complete thought that can stand on its own. So, for example, here's a dependent clause. Before he came to Quebec. Okay? If I just came up to you and I said, before he came to Quebec, you would be expecting me to say something more, right? You'd be confused if I did not say something more. So if you write a dependent clause as if it's a complete sentence, the reader will be confused. So in this case, can you see the subject? So the subject is here, he, and the verb, he came. So where did he come? To Quebec. So there is a clause here. There's a subject and verb. Now, essentially, if I just got rid of this one word, it would be an independent clause, okay? So he came to Quebec, I could say just that. But there are certain words that when you add them to the beginning of a sentence, they make it dependent, okay? So essentially these words can be used to join together two clauses as well, but in this case, you can have an independent clause plus a dependent clause. So the dependent clause really needs the independent clause to lean on because it can't stand all on its own. The independent would be okay on its own. And you can go either way. You can have a dependent first and an independent after. So just to give you an example, if we want to make this a complete sentence, we're going to have to add an independent clause. So I'm going to add it after. I'm going to put a comma here to show where the clause ends and the other one begins. Before he came to Quebec, he wanted to learn French. Okay, so this clause has a subject and it has a verb, and it doesn't have a word like before in it, so it's independent. So I can join the two together just like this. That's all for now. Later, grammar nerds.
Just kidding, there's more.
So the difference between dependent clauses and independent clauses are the words at the beginning of the dependent clauses, which we call subordinating conjunctions. So conjunctions are words that join, that connect. So I'll give you a list of some of the common ones, and whenever you see these words, you know that you should be on the lookout for a dependent clause, or most of the time when you see these. So before, after, if, as, because, although. If you put any of these words at the beginning of a clause, it will become dependent. So I'll give you another example of a sentence, and I'll see if you can find the independent clause and the dependent clause. So here, I won't buy the computer unless I get a discount. So this is an independent clause and a dependent clause making a complex sentence. So what do we have at the beginning? We have a subject. We have the verb. It has a helping verb for tense. I won't buy the computer. So this one is independent. You don't have a subordinating conjunction before it. Okay? Here you do have one. It goes with what follows, and you have a subject and you have a verb. So here at the bottom, that's your dependent clause, and you can connect the two without any comma because you have the word right in the middle, and that shows us that you're connecting the independent to the dependent. So it's perfect just as it is. So that's all. Later, grammar nerds.